What started from me thinking, I can just work from home, put a few bits on Etsy, it just snowballed. But it's definitely the hardest thing that I've done. But because I didn't have much confidence at the time, I used to dress to sort of hide behind, I'd never wear anything to stand out. It's not perfect, but it's just life, and I think people relate to it.
Welcome to today's episode of I'm Fine But. Now, I am joined by Cherish. Now, welcome to the show, Cherish.
Thank you.
Cherish is wearing some amazing clothes. I am very inspired by you. I'm my type of girl. So, Cherish, please, can you tell our listeners who you are and what you do?
So I'm Cherish Reardon, and I am one of the co-founders at Popsi Clothing. So basically, I design very, very colourful clothing and just help women feel amazing.
I think you've found a brand new client just right here, right now. I tend to go for very bright jumpers. I love a bit of colour, bright leggings. So, Cherish, tell me what started this journey of creating clothes?
I always say it was sort of accidental. It was never planned that I'm going to sell clothes and I'm going to go online and we're going to sell loads of dresses. It was just never planned that way. So the idea was, I've got two little girls. So I was going to sort of sell dresses from home so I could be with them, earn a little bit of extra money for the weekend. And what started from me thinking, I can just work from home, put a few bits on Etsy, it just snowballed. So the initial idea was just to earn a few extra pennies on the weekend.
And were you creating these dresses yourself?
Yes, so my husband, he grew up in the manufacturing industry. So he had all the knowledge of how to make the dresses, and then the actual designs, he had no idea. To be honest, I'm not sure I had an idea at that time. But the idea was then, so I do the designs and he would get them made.
Oh, fab. So you weren't at home with the sewing machine creating them yourself, you were designing them.
Yeah. You wouldn't want me sewing your clothes.
I am terrible, honestly. Even if I try and sew a hole in a sock, it's not good. So what did you do before this? Where did it start out before you had your girls?
So initially, I went to college, and then I went on to uni. I did do a business degree, and then I had my eldest daughter. That was the hardest job that I've had, but I stayed at home with the girls. And I had a lot of anxiety. I didn't have much confidence at all. So yeah, I was a stay-at-home mum with the girls for a good few years.
I think we do ourselves a huge disservice by saying the word just in front of that, because it is huge. It's such a mammoth job to do. And even though you are not physically going out to work, the demands on you physically, mentally, the fact that you are not necessarily speaking to an adult all day, you are at the beck and call of these little people. It is so hard. I think we need to remove the word just, because it's a hard thing to do, to be a stay-at-home.
It really is. I remember at the time, sort of my husband coming back from his job and thinking, "You are so lucky. You've been able to sit and have your lunch. You've had a car journey back home where you can just listen to your music." It's definitely the hardest thing that I've done.
And how long did you do that for?
So it was a total of 3 years.
And then where did that first spark of, you wanted to create something to have some extra income, but you could pick anything. Where did clothes come from?
Yes, again, it was my husband. He was the one who was like, I think we should do our own brand. And I was like, I'm not going to be very good at that. He was like, you can just upload onto Etsy. You can do it from home with the girls. So yeah, it was very much his idea. And to begin with, I was very much, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to do this. So yeah, he was definitely the driving force initially for it.
And had you ever designed clothes before?
No, I hadn't. No, I've always had an interest in fashion. Like as a teenager, I used to cut out magazine sort of clothes in the magazine. So I've always had an interest in fashion. But because I didn't have much confidence at the time, I used to dress to sort of hide behind. I'd never wear anything to stand out. So the interest has always been there, but the confidence hasn't.
And what was your first design like? How did how did you start? Did you just grab a piece of paper and start doodling? What did you do?
Yeah, so we sort of brainstormed. The idea initially was I thought there was a gap in the market for like 16 to 24-year-olds. So we thought, right, we'll do a collection aimed at them. They were really short. They had no pockets either. So that was our biggest mistake, no pockets. And yeah, it was sort of aiming at people that liked sort of a little nod to vintage. So it was very colourful. So that was, yeah, the initial brainstorm for the first collection.
And how did that collection go?
Rubbish. Yeah, really rubbish. Honestly, I think the thing, looking back now, I had no idea what a young girl that age wanted to wear, and I think I was designing for what I thought she wanted to wear. So I didn't do enough research into it, and yeah, it didn't do very well. But a lot of lessons were learned.
Yeah, and we say this in business so much. You've got to be prepared to have things that flop, because then you can learn from them and go, okay, we chucked this out there, but maybe we needed to look at this a little bit more. We need a bit more research, and you can then develop your brand from that point.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We wouldn't be where we are now if that first collection had done well. I really do believe that we wouldn't be where we are now, because we did learn a lot from it.
So what did you do after that when this first collection flopped? How did you feel as a woman from that? Did you sort of take that away and be like, oh, it's not working? Or did you go, right, let's reinvent the wheel?
Wow, I think my first thought was I told you, like, I knew we wouldn't be able to do it. I'm not very good at this, but in the background we had started to build like a very small social media following. So I started to share my story. So I started to sort of share with women like I'm not very confident. I'm actually naturally very shy. I struggle with sort of what to wear, and we built like a following from that. So my first reaction was, I told you, like, I'm not very good. This is never going to work. But it did quickly turn into, I'm going to ask our very small following, what is it that you want in your wardrobe? And I just started to talk to them, and they'd just come back with different ideas. And together we built the next collection.
And they were predominantly mums, is that right?
Yeah, mostly mums. Again, not much confidence. I think a lot of new mums, especially, your body shape changes, and then suddenly the things that you did like, not necessarily what you'd wear now. So yeah, we did have a lot of mums.
And what was the feedback that you got from your initial sort of research for, mums? What is it that they wanted?
Pockets, so that was a massive thing. Wanted pockets. The first collection was very short. So mums wanted a longer length. They wanted comfortable fabrics that were stretchy. The jumpsuit, so if you're bending down with the little ones on the floor. So yeah, very different collection to what we did initially.
And did you find that a lot easier to generate because you were sort of your ideal client, really?
Yeah, it was exactly that. I think the problem was I was trying to design for somebody that I didn't actually know what they wanted, but it was a lot easier to do it. But I was thinking, okay, what makes my day easier? So that was definitely easier.
Yeah, and you touched quickly then on when you sort of said to your husband after the first collection, oh, I told you it wasn't going to work. And I think I'm very similar. I will always get on the defensive quite quickly. And then I'll sit back and be like, oh, okay, let's relook at this again. Maybe I just jumped at it a bit too quick. And how do you think for you as a personality that's changed you? Or do you think it's just shaped you in a different way?
Yeah, I think it's just made my outlook very different. Before, I used to be very, very scared of failing. So much so, like, I wouldn't try new things because in my head I was like, I'm gonna fail before I've even started. Whereas now, like, I'm constantly pushing myself outside my comfort zone, and I'm not scared of failing as much. There's still like that little voice, but I'm not as scared now about failing. But things like that, it does shape you. It helps you, doesn't it? Builds
Yeah.
character, as I say.
And do you think this journey has changed you as a person?
Yes, definitely. We started 9 years ago. 9 years ago, if you'd have said, "Oh, you're going to be on a podcast, you're going to be doing lives," like, I would just never ever have believed it. But yeah, I'm a very different person now.
And how
Yeah.
do you manage this business having two small children? Is it still you and your husband? Have you got a bigger team now? What's the setup of the company?
Yes, so we've got a team now. So yeah, there's definitely a lot more support. Whereas we were like two-man bands doing everything, we've definitely got more support now, which is really good. But our girls are also like a massive part of the business. So school holidays, they're here, and I went live last night, and there was just pure chaos in the background. Like the girls were trying to get dance tickets, and there was just pure chaos. But it's actually part of like the business, if that makes sense. It's not perfect, but it's just life, and I think people relate to it.
Yeah. And this is something that we've talked about a lot recently, that as women in business and mothers, that we shouldn't have to hide the fact that we're mothers, that is actually just part of our business. And, putting them in a different room and telling them to be quiet, it's just not realistic. Like, you might have a child that walks in the middle of a live or the middle of a meeting, and actually that's okay. Like, no one's died. It's
Yeah,
actually quite funny if you can find the funny side of it. We don't always need to be this perfect version of business.
yeah, it's life, isn't it? Things happen, and I think it does make you relatable. I think other women see it, and actually, like, it draws them to you. I do.
And have you found, especially when you started and there was just you and your husband, how did that affect you as a mother, sort of taking on this role of business owner and mum as well?
Yeah, there was a lot of I'd say a lot of mom guilt to begin with. I think it was, how am I going to juggle? It felt like two different lives, if that made, like, it was like I'm a mum, but I'm a business owner, and it felt very parallel. Like, how am I going to juggle both of them? Whereas naturally over the years, I think I've just come to realize, like, it's just I'm one person, and I'm a mum, and I can still do business, and it just sort of blended in together. But yeah, definitely to begin with, mom guilt. I'm not spending enough time with them. But then interestingly, I still had mom guilt when I was a stay-at-home mom. I still had guilt where I was like, oh, I'm not going out to work and I'm not earning. So I feel like no matter what you do, um, we just always question ourselves, don't we?
Yeah, and we talk about this a lot in our book, that mum guilt will come to you whatever you do. And it's almost a protector part of you being a mother, that you feel guilty, like exactly like you said, you're the stay at home mum and you feel guilty for not bringing money in, except even though you're doing the most important job you could possibly be doing. And then you feel guilty for, being on a work call when your children are napping, or, not putting the washing on. And we can find everything to feel guilty about, but it's actually sitting with that guilt and going, I'm acknowledging that guilt is there because I care, and let's just roll with that, and that's okay, and I'm just going to crack on.
Definitely, definitely.
And did you find any tools that were really helpful for you going through that period?
I think it was being part of a group with other mums. I think that really helped. I was part on, like, on Facebook. I was part of like a group of mums who all had their own businesses, and I found that was really helpful. Sort of speaking to each other, sharing your stories, and you realise actually it's not just my life that's chaotic. Everyone else is just winging it as well. So yeah, I think it is like surrounding yourself around other people who are going through it at the same time.
Yeah, having your village of women that are there to support you is definitely something really important, whether that's business or just as a mum as well. Just having somebody that's, you can message and go, is it just me? Or, and then they're like, yep, before you even say it, they know what you're going to say.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's that, having that support network, that you're not alone in this journey. Even if you are running your own business, you've still got those women that are there beside you. So have you found any huge fails? Because you've obviously built this business up over the last few years and you've got this amazing team. What's sort of been the most stressful part of it for you?
The most stress, I would say, COVID. So at the time, obviously, we went into lockdown. There was a world pandemic. Again, trying to be mum, trying to homeschool two children, and I remember thinking, like, this is it. Like, people aren't going to be buying clothes. We're obviously going through. a really unusual situation and people just aren't going to be buying clothes. So I remember just thinking like, I've spent years doing this and it's just gone. But actually we turned that into a real positive. So I think a lot of people turned to like communities during that time. So our sort of online community just completely blew up. People needing that connection and support. So yeah, I think that was the time when I did think, this is it, this is over. But it turned into something really positive.
Yeah, and how did you turn it into a positive? Obviously, that your community was growing. Was it just you as the forefront of the business, your personality? Did you have to show up more to create that community, or did it just naturally evolve online?
Yeah, so we already had the community before sort of COVID happened. And I remember we launched dresses every week. And I remember thinking, like, I haven't got anything to sell. Like, what have I got to sell? I've not got anything to sell. But thinking actually people need like the connection now more than ever. So I was still jumping on lives. And it was literally, I haven't got anything to sell. However, how are you doing? Like, how's everybody's week going? And then in our group, we did like a weekly plan. So we'd have people coming in doing sign language lessons, we did singing lessons, we did poetry. Like there was literally all different things going on throughout the week that was not relevant at all to dresses, but it just built that community and sort of people feeling like they wasn't on their own.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just creating a community, whether that's
Yeah.
around the business or not. It's creating that connection, which we talk so much at the moment about personal brand, and that you have to be that face of your brand. And I know that when you put the pitch in for the podcast, you talked quite a lot about being an introvert, and
Yes.
how have you managed to come out of yourself to be the face of the brand?
Yeah, it's funny because like I'm still an introvert. Like I'm still naturally, I don't think I'm ever going to be like I'm never going to set the world on fire with my personality. I am naturally very quiet and shy, but again, I feel like that's helped me grow the community because other people can relate to that. I'm very honest. So when I do my live videos and everything seems to go wrong, I'm very honest, and I think people do relate to that. I think people like honesty and you being authentic, however that comes.
Yeah, and definitely with the way that you dress as well. That feeling when you get yourself a really nice outfit and that you're like, I feel $1 million in this outfit, and you put it on for the first time. You almost gain confidence, don't you, just from having an outfit that feels like you. So talk to me a little bit about how you've really designed your clothes and really looked at mothers especially to make them have that feeling.
Yeah, I think it's really important. A lot of what we do is around colour. So we do a lot of sort of colourful prints. One of the things that gets said to me a lot is, oh, I used to hide behind my clothes. I used to wear big black baggy t-shirt, leggings because I didn't know what else to wear. I didn't want to be noticed. So for us, like it's a lot about colour, showing your personality, fabrics that's comfortable because there's nothing worse than going somewhere if you're not feeling very confident, going somewhere and then feeling uncomfortable as well. um yeah, different shapes sort of suit different bodies, people like different things, so having that sort of mixture across different things as well, but definitely color and print is a big one.
And do you look at individual women like that? If somebody came to your shop and said, I'm struggling to find anything that fits me and that feels nice, will you look at them and go, okay, this shape will suit you?
It's really funny. People will say, so they'll send a picture, say, what do you think would suit me? And I try not to put people in boxes in the sense of, right, I hate the fruits. People say, oh, you're an apple shape, you're a pear shape. That drives me mad. But I don't like to do it where I think, right, your body shape, you should wear this certain style. I always say, like, start off with the print first. Like, what is the design on the dress? Is that what you like? Is that, regardless of whether you think it's going to be flattering or not? Do you like the colour? Do you like the print? So that's where I do start. But we've got such a big community. We've got like a Facebook group with 70,000 women and they post their outfits in daily and they sort of knowledge and stuff that goes into there. It's amazing. So I think people sort of post their outfits and then get sort of feedback. Do you think this goes with it? Do you think I should wear this with it?
That is amazing. I love that so much that there's other women that are supporting other women in it, because I remember so clearly at school doing the whole apple shape, pear shape. What's the other one?
Oh, there's loads.
There's like, I remember being like, oh, I don't know, like what I am. And ridiculously, Cherish, you'll laugh at this. A while ago, I was doing loads of speaking events and I really wanted some new clothes to wear and I wanted something that I felt comfortable in. And I put my sizes of my shoulder, my bust, my waist, my hips into AI and said, this is my height. These are my measurements. Tell me what clothes will suit my frame that will be most flattering.
Oh, go
And
on.
you should, well, we'll share this. Okay. When this episode goes out live, I think we need to do like a whole week, Cherish, on this. And I will share what ChatGPT told me I should wear. And I will share a picture of that. And then I'm going to let you and your community decide what I should wear. And then we'll compare them. Because honestly,
Who wins?
yeah, it would have been at home in, I imagine, like probably like 80-year-old librarian. And no offense, if you're an 80-year-old librarian, you might have a great sense. And it kind of had, one of them like wraparound tops that like ties at the side
Ooh.
and a mid-length
Ooh.
skirt,
Okay.
and some like ballerina flats. It wasn't my personality at all.
Okay. Did it have any colour? Did it have any colour?
No. I think it was grey and blush pink because I had to give it my hair colour. So yeah, well, if you are following us on Instagram when this episode goes live, Cherish, let's do that. Let's put this
Yeah.
ChatGPT out there, and we'll see who can dress me best.
Yeah. Oh, I love a challenge.
Yeah, ChatGPT or Cherish. But it is hilarious, and it is that thing that we can't be pigeonholed, can we, into these different shapes?
Yeah, definitely. And they do all the seasons as well now. And I still can't get my head around, like, oh, you should only wear these sorts of colours. And I think just whatever makes you happy is what
Yeah.
you're going to feel most confident in.
Yeah. And do you think that's had an effect on you as well? Because, when you've got these lovely colours on, do you feel like you step into this CEO role when you are, you come across as so confident. You don't come across as somebody who has ever been an introvert. Do you think it helps to have these clothes that, make you feel powerful or empowered?
Yeah, I think I've just got that use. I'd literally just wear whatever makes me happy is what I wear. I went to Downing Street, and most people would think, "What on earth are you going to wear to Downing Street?" And like, I had a dinosaur dress on. There was no rules; you couldn't wear dinosaurs. I did check; you could wear dinosaurs at Downing Street. And I just think I'd just wear whatever makes me happy. I think life's just too short.
Yeah, I've got a favourite dinosaur dress as well. And I do look at children's clothes. I know that when we run our classes and I see some babies and they've got sometimes like, tights where one leg is one colour and the other leg is like a different coloured pattern. And I think, I'd really like them. And that's probably not acceptable as a middle-aged woman.
Oh, I love it.
So maybe that's your next design, some mixed match tights with pockets, please.
I'm on it.
So if we've got any listeners who are interested in fashion or interested in doing some sort of business around clothing, fabrics, but they've got no idea where to start, what one bit of advice could you give them?
I would say, I think it's not being scared to fail. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I think I spent so long delaying things, thinking I need to get it right, I need to get it perfect. But actually, like, just go for it. And like me, if you do fail initially, like, you can learn from it, you can grow from it. So yeah, not being scared to step outside your comfort zone in fashion and business, especially in fashion, because what is the worst that can happen if you put something on and you go out? Like, what is the worst that can happen if you don't like your outfit?
Do you find that the industry of fashion is quite like that? Do you feel like it's quite supportive of different brands, different looks, or do you think it is quite niche in that this is the trend at the moment? How do you find that the industry as a whole?
I feel like it's changing. I feel like originally it was very much this is the catwalk, this is what's on trend. Whereas I think now that we've got social media, I think there's just so many new options, so much more inspiration. People follow influencers and people that they like, and they get new ideas. And I think that it's just becoming a lot more diverse. People aren't as interested what's on the catwalk, what's on trend. People just wearing what makes them happy.
And if they've got someone who is listening who is thinking, I don't have any capital to start a business like this, have you got any advice from where they can start? Obviously, you had your husband's expertise in manufacturing. If they've got no prior knowledge, is there anywhere that you would direct them to start looking to go down this route?
Yeah, I would say get as much experience as you can. So even if it's working with other designers, if it's working at other clothing companies, get as much experience as you can underneath your belt, as much knowledge as you can before starting. I think that's really helps, and especially now with sort of online, there's so many YouTube videos that you can look at. If you're interested in making clothes, if you're interested in selling, there's so much knowledge and content out there. But yeah, YouTube's great for that.
And what sort of experience would you recommend people went out and found?
So I think if it's fashion, I definitely, if it's sort of the print, so print design's great. If you're interested in like the drawing side, there's so many different elements to clothing. So I think it really helps to have an understanding from sort of start to finish. So if there's places that do work experience, so we do a lot of work experience, sort of getting young people through and really learning about, clothing, what's the fabric, what types of print go on to certain fabrics. Because before I started, I just assumed, oh, you can just put that onto that. And, I had no idea. I think when you start investing money, and obviously that's where the risk comes, but get as much knowledge as you can. And learn from different brands. There's so many different independent brands with sort of Etsy, Instagram, just look at what they're doing.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Cherish. Can you tell our listeners where can they find you?
So they can find us, we're on Facebook and Instagram at Popsi Clothing. And if they want to join the community, we're on Facebook and it's Popsi Clothing, Frocks and Friends.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Now, this episode will be going out live on a Friday. So if you are listening to it on release day, I am going to pop on the Saturday. I'm going to put my ChatGPT outfit out there. So everybody can see my outfits. If you listen to us on the release day, come and have a look on our Instagram. You will see my ChatGPT outfit. And then I'm going to put it to Cherish and her community to dress me appropriately to see what will work. And then you guys can decide which outfit was the best. Let's pray it's not ChatGPT.
So, can you imagine? I'd have to retire. I'd be done.
That's it. That's just how to close the business down. We've just done it. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been great.
You've just listened to I'm Five Booked. If you're unsure about business